I'm living in that living room all white. I'm up all night, season ends while niggas sleeping. Lost so many guys, guess why I'm breathing. We keep it strong as the name live on, like if they was never gone. Mind blown, and even my ever since.
Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to the Grit Culture. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Check out what I got to say. I'm gonna go deep into this. So let's talk about this Kyle Rittenhouse case. You know, the verdict should be coming out. Hopefully we get something tomorrow. Of course, they delayed it a whole nother day. Jury's still in deliberation. But let's talk about this case, man. Because it's got a lot of detail to it, man, that just a lot of people are missing. You know, most people are going to be led by what they're hearing in the media, you know, whether it's on, you know, whether they watching CNN or Fox News, MSNBC, no matter what side they take, they're going to take different stances. It wasn't just so cut and dry as, you know, hey, he went there to murder folks, or he was there on some white supremacist stuff. No, it wasn't that. And despite what he said, you know, Kyle was ignorant. He spent too much time trying to say the right things. But, you know, it was clear that they were there from their actions. They were there to defend the different businesses and stuff like that. Whether they were justified in doing that, I don't know if that's state law or anything like that. That's up to the, you know, that's up to the whole legal thing. Is it something that I agree with? Hell, I'm with it. You know what I'm saying? I burning down somebody's business is, like I said, I understand what people are mad about, but, you know, when there's an issue, you go after the root of the problem. You don't go tearing up everything else around you, because when you do that, you just fall into what you want to, you know, basically the state wants that shit. You doing the system's job, because they want to eliminate all competition. They don't want to see people be independent, come up on their own, shit like that. And just in case, and if you want to make it a race thing, just think about what happened, you know, just even with that mentality. You shouldn't be burning down anybody's stuff, because you don't know how, you know, even if you're a black person, you just assuming that, oh, it's a white person and they, you know, they got this through racism, white supremacy, and privilege and stuff like that. Well, you know, there's no way you can confirm that. The way racism works is it doesn't guarantee that everybody will benefit from it or be affected by it. What it does is it increases the probability of a person benefit or being affected by it. So that's the reality of the situation. And also on the other side, you got the people on the right, and there's a whole bunch to address with the people on the you know, who I guess have the Democratic way of thinking, and then you have on the Republican side, right? You know, just all this. They want to talk about the people who got shot, you know, and their criminal past and stuff like that. And they've done some, from what looks like, heinous things, but it has nothing to do with the situation at hand. This is a completely different, isolated situation, and so justice and the truth needs to be addressed in this situation, in these particular situations. If they've already went through the court process in those other incidents, or you know, whether they have or haven't. If they haven't, then it needs to be addressed and they need to be charged in a separate case. But we're dealing with this by itself, you know, the people who were shot by Kyle Rittenhouse. Now, initially, I believed that, you know, I believed that he was justified in doing what he was doing. Like I said, there's a lot of detail to this case. There's just a lot of nuance. And I'm not speaking race when I say this isn't just a black and white case. There's so much detail, you know, all down to the very, very moment that he got shot, down to down to that exact moment, man. I think he's guilty. I think he's guilty. Now, I've looked at the I've looked at the video. I saw the video that they showed on television. I had trouble seeing this whole sequence of events, to the second that the shooting happened. But I saw I guess you could say a 3D render that was drawn up that showed how it went down. And, if that's the way it went down, man, because, I'm all, initially I'm thinking, he's being attacked. If a person's being attacked, a person should be able to defend themselves from an attacker, whether they have a gun or not, right? If I'm sitting there walking out, I'm more than likely, I might fight you, but I won't rule out the chance that I might shoot your ass. I'm going to give you a warning at first. I'm going to give you a warning. I'm going to point it and tell you to stand down. Now, if you cross that line or, start making funny moves, I got to do it. I got to do it to you. I got to get you up out of here. And especially if there's, family around and stuff like that. But, you don't know what a person's capable of. You don't know what they got. Right? You don't know what they got on them, on their person. Even at that, man, think about what it does and how it affects. The laws are different in different cities, different states. They got stand your ground laws more in the South and, Florida and Texas. But, and I understand, hey, before I even go further, I understand what black folks are saying. Sometimes, a lot of times, more often than not, I would like to say, if there's any data or anything that shows different, send it to me. But I'd like to say that, we may not get the benefit of the doubt. Think of what happened when there was that brother that shot down here in Dallas and killed those police officers. And they just went and found a random dude that was walking around with a with a gun, with an assault rifle, I believe. And they made him a suspect in the case just because he was walking around downtown, during protest, right? And so that's just one situation. But like I said, I don't believe a black person would get the same benefit of the doubt. But that's a fight that black people would have to take up. We don't take away other people's rights because we don't get something. We don't want to make everybody a damn slave. So that's just a fight that we got to take up and hopefully, get some allies on that, right? But even going forward, man, let's talk about it. So, but as far as standing your ground and standing your ground laws and different things like that, sometimes, there has been cases where, black folks have been able to get away, using that as self-defense. I've seen that, myself, even back in Kansas City. People be able to, self-defense. They able to prove that they were, be able to prove that they were being attacked or something like that, or people were, trying to do something to them. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. And I worry about how this, like I said, will affect, women, how this will affect, people with disabilities, older people. Are they supposed to get into a fist fight with somebody? Nobody should have to fight. Now, if you're already engaged into a fight and then you losing or something, or you just decide to, in the middle of the fight, to pull out a gun and shoot, you're completely in the wrong. But if we're talking about, I'm not trying to fight you, I just want you to leave me alone, and this is what you're trying to do, shit, you deserve that. And I don't care if the person, we're going to talk about, oh, you a big person, you fight, like, man, nobody should have to be subjected to that, doing something that they don't want to do, being assaulted and shit like that against their will, and having to fight. What's to say, what if the big dude, not all big dudes can throw hands, so what if the big dude loses the fight and then he gets his gun taken or something like that? You see what I'm saying? So, you got to make it, clear. You got to make it clear across the board. You got to make it clear across the board. But as far as this, I say he's guilty because if what I saw from that 3D render, if that's how it went down, I believe he's guilty. Because the guy Rosenbaum, and this is the initial one. Now the two that he shot after, I don't care about those two. They deserve that. But what led to the initial shooting, was the fact that, the guy ran him down, and, he has every right to kind of, run after him. But from what I saw, well, I don't know if he had every right to run after him, but, it was a whole bunch going on out there. There was a whole bunch going on. The initial shooting, right? When he puts his hands up, when he turns around, because Rosenbaum threw a bag at him. So he threw a bag and kind of pursued him a little bit after. But if you see, and if this is how it actually went, and this is what it looks like on the video also. He turns around, Rittenhouse turns around and immediately shoots. When Rittenhouse raises the gun, Rosenbaum, it doesn't look like he's lunging. It looks like he puts his hands up. And that's what it shows on the 3D render also. Now, it could be inaccurate. I could be wrong. But this is what it looks like. He puts his hands up, and while as soon as he's putting his hands up, it's kind of a quick thing, and bam, he's shot. So Rittenhouse didn't even give him a chance to surrender. So that's where I say he screwed up. Like I said, screw all of these other silly narratives and talking about he went there to kill and he's white supremacist and stuff like that. And maybe he is. We don't know that. I don't know that. I haven't seen enough evidence to show that. I've seen evidence to show that maybe he supports more of the right wing, the quote unquote right wing, because we know the Democrats are right wing the damn self. But he supports that. But as far as a white supremacist, I don't know about that. And like I said, man, if it came down, buildings and stuff like that, I never expect the police to do the right thing. This shit got out of control because the police were way out of pocket. And so I would want a citizen to come, I don't care if it's across state lines, come help. Imagine if it was black folks into something. I'm just contextualizing the people who are only view things from the lens of exclusively race. That's not to say that race isn't a contributing factor into things, but for people who only view things through that lens. Imagine, and say, black folks. Imagine if it was, it was something that was going on and you needed, help from more black people. You know what I'm saying? See, especially seeing as we only 13 to 18% of this country. And so you need all the people on deck. And so you got some people flooding in from other, states. You want them to be demonized from coming and defending your business. And it wasn't, even think about that. They go into these different, how many times we saw Kenosha and when George Floyd thing, it wasn't even black people who were initiating the burning of the businesses and shit like that. A lot of them was these white boys. And so we got to ask, where did they come from? And are they sparking this shit and trying to get it to where we burn down, they taking advantage of black people's sensitivity to the issue. And so, and then black folks just go ahead and join along. And then they're left to have to pick up the pieces and deal with the after effects of the situation. You sit there and burn down these communities while they go back to their stuff. And, people who need these different jobs because the jobs aren't being created, You know, man, no matter what it is, nobody deserves to have their personal business burnt down. That's no excuse for that at all, right? But you know, the jobs aren't, secondary jobs for your family members and stuff like that aren't being created. So you have people coming in and, destroying those opportunities for people. You got to think about that. People who live in your community. And think about what happened in Atlanta. Killer Mike said it himself. Y'all burnt down so many black businesses. Y'all got to think about that. That's why riots, it's just never the answer, man. It's never the answer. You always, I'm not condoning, violence or anything like that, but at the most part, you go after who you have the issue with. You take it to that doorstep. Your issue was with the officers. In Kenosha, the issue was with the officer who shot Jacob Blake. So you take it to that police department. Or you take it to the guy, take it to that person's house. You saw the guys were defending the officer that killed George Floyd, that murdered George Floyd. The police was. I mean, shit, y'all got a bigger army than police. Y'all should have brought y'all guns. Fuck all that. Oh, they would have did something to a black man and stuff like that. Man, it's war out here, man. Y'all been shown over and over again. Ain't nothing sweet out here in this life, man. And shit's only gonna get rougher and rougher. Ain't nothing sweet out here. Get the low fancy, everybody looking cute, got the fancy gadgets and shit like that. They think shit's sweet. They just want to be left alone and think they can just sit up here and be, little revolutionaries on Twitter or Facebook or some shit and say they little shit and then go back to watching their favorite little shows while looking cute and pampered and shit like that. It don't work like that, man. It don't work like that. If you want freedom, there's got to be pain that's got to get put in. That's just the reality. That's what it's always been in anything, man. So what you willing to? So it's about the hill you willing to die on. Now, if you choose to have things, the way it is because it's more convenient for you. I mean, we all got choices we make in life. Just don't complain, right? Just don't complain. Of course, with this case, man, the case itself has been, just crazy, man. The judge has just been all over the place. You could tell he kind of has a bias for Rittenhouse. That plays upon a lot of the minds of the people who are against Rittenhouse, so that he fuels them even more. Just a whole bunch of stuff, man. Rittenhouse was terrible on the stand. Instead of just, stating what he was there for and, his reasonings. Even, from the time he shot Rosenbaum and he was saying, he had a gun, which wasn't true at all. All he's been trying to do is cover his ass. Now, despite all of that, like I said, none of that matters from the ultimate scheme of things when it comes to the actual shooting. When you're looking at the actual action and the events that took place within that moment. If Rosenbaum was reaching for that weapon and got shot, then I believe it would have been 100% justified. If his hands are up, if his hands go up, and at that moment his hands is up, and of course it's a quick moment, so Rittenhouse is making a quick decision in that moment, and it could be the wrong decision, like I said, and this is just alleged. I don't know, because I can't find. I saw what they showed during the court case, then I can't find anything on YouTube of the actual video myself. I saw what they showed during that court case, okay? And yeah, Rittenhouse was being harassed. The guy was harassing him, all type of shit, prior to that. But like I said, doesn't mean he deserved to be shot in that moment. Rittenhouse had every right to take his gun and up it on him. but you have to give a warning, because you have to, just got to give people a chance, man, to surrender. And then if he doesn't heed to that, then you got to do what you got to do. So there's that, man. It's just a lot of detail, man, and I wish we could get more people in the country to really look at shit in a nuanced manner. That doesn't mean a lot of the gripes and a lot of the things that they bring up aren't valid. There's just, you have to see every part. You gotta have the conversation. You gotta see each side when you're speaking about these things, or you're gonna miss out. You're gonna miss out, and more often than not, you're gonna make the wrong decision because you hold a certain bias towards something, and that's just not the way to be. Especially when you're talking about trying to operate within the. I know the justice system is fucked up, but let's just say that we want to rid the government and replace it with another one. Well, you can't. It can't be swayed by public opinion. It can't be swayed by ignorance. It's got to be a nuanced conversation, okay? It's got to be a nuanced conversation. So there's that, man. And like I said, man, all the different stuff, the other conversation stuff about, what the victims did in the past and stuff like that, has nothing to do with this, man. Deal with what's right in front of us and deal with this. Just like when they were talking about when the folks on the right wing were saying the ignorant shit, talking about George Floyd was fentanyl and all of this stuff. It had nothing to do with the murder and what he did and put a gun to a pregnant woman's. He went through the court system for that. He went through the court system for that. That has nothing to do with him being murdered by an officer. You focus on what's in front of you, and that's just the truth. That's not perspective or anything like that, or an opinion. That's the truth, because the truth is evident, man. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section. It's probably a lot more to we can get into on this. Let me know if there's any details that I missed. I'm on the move right now, so I gotta get going. But yeah, let me know if there's any details I missed. And like I said, like, share, subscribe. And also, man, no matter what happens, man, I know pretty much when it comes to the folks who are on Rittenhouse's side, if there's a guilty verdict, I don't expect there to be a riots. Now, what you'll see, as I tell people, is in isolated instances, just be on the lookout, because you'll have isolated instances of fools out here doing crazy shit. Now, in the case that Rittenhouse does get off, I know there's more likely that side is going to riot and tear shit up. Come on, man. Come on. It's foolish shit. You're shooting your own self in the foot. You're shooting your own society. You're shooting your own self in the foot by doing that. So I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.